እና ክብራት የተከበሩ ተጋባዥ እንግዶቻችን እንዲሁም የእውን ቤተሰቦች እንኳን ወደ 5ኛው የዓመታዊ የሴቶች የኃይል ዘርፍ ዝግጅት በደህና መጣችሁ። ይህ ዝግጅት የሴቶች ብሩህነትን የምናከብርበት፣ ከሌሎች የኤነርጂ ባለሙያዎች ጋር የምንገናኝበት እንዲሁም ብዙ ሴቶች የሚሳተፉበትን አስደናቂ የሥራ ዘርፍ የምናይበት ይሆናል።
This year, we are proud to recognize the exceptional achievement of 3 outstanding women whose leadership, courage, integrity inspire us all.
This award means a lot to me, so I'm thankful. I would like to thank God for helping me in all my work. And for getting any achievement that I have done so far.
Women has brought a good platform to celebrate women for their contribution. So I want to thank everyone.
We cannot build a project. We will build the right things.
And let's uplift women in the energy sector and beyond. Thank you so much. ክብራን እና ክብራት የተከበሩ ተጋባዥ እንግዶቻችን እንዲሁም የእውን ቤተሰቦች እንኳን ወደ 5ኛው የዓመታዊ የሴቶች የኃይል ዘርፍ ዝግጅት በደህና መጣችሁ። ይህ ዝግጅት የሴቶች ብሩህነትን የምናከብርበት፣ ከሌሎች የኤነርጂ ባለሙያዎች ጋር የምንገናኝበት እንዲሁም ብዙ ሴቶች የሚሳተፉበትን አስደናቂ የሥራ ዘርፍ የምናይበት ይሆናል። እስከዳር እባላለሁ። የኢነርጂ እና የክላይሜት ሬዚሊየንስ ባለሙያ ነኝ እና የዛሬ ኤምሲያችሁ ነኝ ማለት ነው። ቀኑን አብረን እንውላለን። ሁላችሁም እንደምታውቁት እውን የተመሰረተው አዘነም ፕሮፊት የባለሙያዎች የሲቪል ማህበረሰብ ሆኖ ነው። ዋናው ዓላማው የኢነርጂ ዘርፍ ውስጥ ያሉ ሴቶችን ለማሳደግ እና ለመደገፍ፣ ወደዚህ ዘርፍ ደግሞ ለመቀላቀል የሚፈልጉትን ታዳጊ ሴቶች ለማበረታታትና ለማነሳሳት እንዲሁም በዚህ ቦታ ላይ የጾታ እኩልነትን አስተዋጽኦ ለማድረግ ነው ማለት ነው። የዛሬ ግባችን ለኢትዮጵያ የኃይል ሴክተር የበኩላቸውን አስተዋጽኦ የሚያደርጉ ባለሙያ ሴቶችን ለምሳሌ እንደ ኢነርጂ ኢንጂነሮች፣ መሪዎች እንዲሁም ባለራዕዮች ጨምሮ ዘርፉን ለመደገፍ ደከመኝ ሰለቸኝ ሳይሉ በመስራት ለሀገራችን እድገት ትልቅ አስተዋጽኦ የሚያደርጉ ሴቶችን ለመሰብሰብ እና ለማስተዋወቅ የሚተዋወቁትንም ድጋሚ ለማገናኘት ነው ማለት ነው። በየዓመቱ ይህ ዝግጅት ሲደረግ ምን ያህል እንደደረስን እንዲሁም አብረን በመስራት እና ሀሳባችንን በመለዋወጥ ምን ያህል ርቀት መሄድ እንደምንችል ያስታውሰናል። ዛሬ ደስ የሚል አጀንዳ ይዘንላችሁ የቀረብነው መጀመሪያ ከክቡር እንግዶቻችን መክፈቻ ንግግር ከተደረገልን በኋላ ስለ ማህበሩ እድገትና ራዕይ አጠር ያለ ፕሬዘንቴሽን ይኖረናል። ከዛም በኋላ ደግሞ ሁለት ፓነል ውይይቶች ይኖሩናል። ከዛ በተረፈ ደግሞ ስትገቡ እንዳያችሁት ለድርጅቶችና እንዲሁም ለአንትረፕረነሮች ፈጠራ ስራዎችን ለማየት እንድንችል እንዲሁም ከሌሎች የኢነርጂ ባለሙያዎች ጋር እንድንገናኝበት ኔትወርኪንግ ኢቨንት ክሬት ለማድረግ ኤግዚቢሽን አዘጋጅተንላቸዋል። ሰፋ ያለ የኮፊ ብሬክ ይኖረናል በኋላ። ስለዚህ በደንብ እርስ በርስን በደንብ መታወቅ ትችላላችሁ፣ ኤግዚቢሽንን በደንብ ማየት ትችላላችሁ ማለት ነው። ላስት በት ኖት ሊስት ከሁላችንም በጉጉት የምንጠብቀው አትሊስት እኔ በጉጉት የጠበቅኩት በዚህ ዓመት በኢነርጂ ዘርፍ የሴቶችን ስኬት ለማበረታታት እና የጾታ እኩልነትን ለጾታ እኩልነት የሚቆሙ ሴቶችን ባለሙያዎችን የምናመሰግንበት ኢንፍሉዌንሻል ዊመን ኢን ኢነርጂ ሽልማት ስነስርዓት ይኖራል ማለት ነው። በድጋሚ ለአምስተኛው የዓመታዊ ዊመን ኢን ኢነርጂ ኢቨንት እንኳን ደህና መጣችሁ። ቀኑን ከኛ ጋር ማሳለፍ ስላሰባችሁ ስለወሰናችሁ በጣም እናመሰግናለን። Ladies, for the sake of those who did not understand any word I said, ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests and friends and family of EWiEn, it is my great honor to welcome you to the 5th annual Women in Energy event, where we celebrate brilliance, connect with fellow professionals, and shine a light on the incredible work women are engaged in. My name is Iskadar. I'm an energy and climate resilience professional, and I'm a very enthusiastic EWiEn member, and I'll be your MC today. Our goal today is to gather and unite the women contributing to redefining Ethiopia's energy future, from engineers, leaders, and visionaries who work tirelessly to keep the lights on. Every year, this event reminds us how far we've come and how far we can go by building connections and exchanging bold ideas. We have an exciting agenda for you today: keynote remarks from our honorable guests, presentations about the association, and insightful panel discussions on various topics. We also have an incredible exhibition where you can explore game-changing innovations and connect with fellow energy experts. I'm personally excited about this year's influential Women in Energy Energy Award ceremony, where we get to spotlight exceptional female professionals who are advancing gender equality in the energy sector. Welcome again to the 5th annual Women in Energy event. Thank you so much for deciding to spend the day with us. Now, without further ado, I now welcome our guest of honor from Ethiopian Electric Power, Ato Ndosen Kasa, Power Academy Director, to the stage to give us a welcome opening remarks. Ato Ndosen, ወደ መድረክ መክፈቻ ንግግር እንዲያደርጉልን።
የተከበራችሁ የመንግስት ኃላፊዎች፣ ተጋባዥ የክብር እንግዶች፣ የፕሮግራሙ አዘጋጆችና አጋር ድርጅቶች፣ የተከበራችሁ የማህበሩ አባላት፣ በኢነርጂ ዘርፍ ላይ የተሰማራችሁ ባለሙያዎችና ስራ ፈጣሪዎች፣ እንዲሁም ጥሪ የተደረገላችሁ እንግዶች፣ ክቡራትና ክቡራን፣ በኢትዮጵያን ውመን ኢነርጂ ማህበር እውን በተዘጋጀውና ሁላችንንም ባሰባሰበን አምስተኛው ዓመታዊ በኢነርጂ ዘርፍ የተሰማሩ ሴቶች ዝግጅት በዓል ላይ በመገኘቴ ክብርም ደስታም ይሰማኛል። የኢትዮጵያውያን ውመን ኢነርጂ ማህበር እውን በዚህ ለአምስተኛ ጊዜ በተሳካ ሁኔታ ይህንን ሴቶችን የሚያበረታታና እውቅና በሚሰጥ እንዲሁም በኢነርጂ ዘርፍ ያሉ ባለድርሻ አካላትን የሚያገናኝ መርሃ ግብር ማዘጋጀታቸውን እያደነቁ በዘንድሮ ዝግጅት በኢነርጂ ዘርፍ ተጽዕኖ ፈጣሪ ተሸላሚ ሆነው ለተመረጡ ሴት ፈርቀዳጆች ስራችሁና አስተዋጽኦአችሁ እውቅና ስላገኘ በእኔና ወክየው በመጣሁት በኢትዮጵያ ኤሌክትሪክ ኃይል ስም እንኳን ደስ አላችሁ ማለት እወዳለሁ። እንደ ኢትዮጵያ ኤሌክትሪክ ኃይል የዚህ ዝግጅት አካል በመሆናችን በእውነት ኩራትም ደስታም ይሰማናል። ይህ ዝግጅት በዘርፉ ያሉ ሴቶች ያገኙትን ስኬትና ተጽዕኖ ፈጣሪነት እውቅና የሚሰጥ ብቻ ሳይሆን በዘርፉ ያለን ባለድርሻ አካላት በሴቶች አናሳ ተሳትፎ የሚታየውን ክፍተት በማጥበብና ይህንን የፈጠሩ እንቅፋቶችና ተግዳሮቶችን በማስወገድ በጋራ ቁርጠኝነት እንድንሰራ የሚጋብዝ መሆኑን እንደ ኢትዮጵያ ኤሌክትሪክ ኃይል እናምናለን። የኢትዮጵያ ኤሌክትሪክ ኃይል እውን ከተመሰረተበት ጊዜ ጀምሮ በተጠየቀበት አጋጣሚ ሁሉ ድጋፍ እንደሚያደርግ ይታወቃል፣ ሲያደርግም ቆይቷል። በዛሬው ዝግጅት እንግዲህ ባለን ተሳትፎ እውን እንደ ማህበር በዘርፉ ላሉ የሴት ባለሙያዎች እድገትና ተሳትፎ እያደረገ ያለውን ጥረት እንደምንደግፍ የሚያሳይ ነው። ይህ ጥረት ግን የእውን ብቻ እንዳልሆነ እናምናለን። የኢትዮጵያ ኤሌክትሪክ ኃይልም ሴቶችን ማብቃት የእኩል መብት ጥያቄ ብቻ ሳይሆን ዘርፉን በሰው ኃይል ለማበልጸግና ተደራሽነቱን ለማስፋት ሁነኛ መንገድ መሆኑ ስለሚያምንበት በተቋሙ የሴት ባለሙያዎች አስተዋጽኦ በሁሉም ደረጃ በአመራርም ጭምር እንዲያድግ በቁርጠኝነት እየሰራ ይገኛል። በዚህም ከዓመት ዓመት መሻሻሎች እያሳየን እንገኛለን። በሰው ሀብት ያለን የጾታ ተዋጽኦ ተቋሙ ዘርፈ ብዙ ጠቀሜታ እንደሚኖረው በፖሊሲያችንም ላይ አስቀምጠናል። ከዚህም አንጻር በሰው ሀብት ላይ የጾታ ተዋጽኦ መጨመር ለፈጠራ፣ ለተሻለ አመራር ያለውን አስተዋጽኦ ብሎም ለሀገሪቷ የኢኮኖሚና ማህበራዊ እድገት ያለውን ፋይዳ ከማንም በላይ እንረዳለን። ዛሬ በዚህ ፕሮግራም በዘርፉ አሻራቸውን ላኖሩ ሴቶች እውቅና ለመስጠት ስንሰባሰብ አብረንም በዘርፉ የሴቶችን ንቁ ተሳትፎ ለማሳደግ ቁርጠኝነታችንን እና ለእውንና መሰል እንቅስቃሴዎች አጋርነታችንን እንደ ተቋም ለመግለጽ እንወዳለን። በመጨረሻም ለዚህ ዓመት በኢነርጂ ዘርፍ ተጽዕኖ ፈጣሪ ተሸላሚዎች እንኳን ደስ ያላችሁ እያሉ ትጋታችሁ ለሁላችንም ምሳሌ መሆኑን መግለጽ እወዳለሁ። በዘርፉ ያለን ባለድርሻ አካላት ሁሉን አካታችና የሙያተኛውን ንቁ ተሳትፎ የሚያበረታታ የኢነርጂ ዘርፍ ለመፍጠር አብረን እንሰራ በዚህ አጋጣሚ ጥሬን አቀርባለሁ። አመሰግናለሁ።
ዶክተር ወንዶሰን በጣም እናመሰግናለን ላደረጉልን ንግግር። በዚህ አጋጣሚ ኢፒን እንዲሁም ሚኒስትሪ ኦፍ ዋተር ኤነርጂ በጣም ማድነቅና ማመስገን እፈልጋለሁ። ቢሃፎን በጣም ከኛ ጋር ቆመው ለረዥም ጊዜ ሰርተዋል። ሳንጠይቃቸው ብዙ ነገር ያደርጉልናል እና በጣም እናመሰግናለን። አንድ ጊዜ ባካችሁ አሁን የእውን አምባሳደር የምስራች ወርቁን ወደ ስቴጅ ጋብዛለሁ።
እንደምን አደራችሁ። ጉድ ሞርኒንግ ኤቭሪዋን። እንደምን አደራችሁ። I want to feel the energy. እሺ እንኳን ደህና መጣችሁ። So I'm gonna give the very short speech in English, so that way it's a welcoming. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, esteemed partners, and remarkable women who illuminate our energy sector. Good morning. It is a great honor to welcome you all to the 5th Annual Women in Energy event 2025, a significant milestone in celebrating the achievement and resiliency of women across our industry. Today, we are gathered to recognize their contribution and reflect on the progress we continue to make, despite the many challenges we face. This year's theme, despite the challenges, we continue to grow, speaks powerful to our collective journey. In encapsulating the resiliency of women and determination of Ethiopian energy sector, just as our nation has advanced landmark projects, including the historical completion of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD, through perseverance, innovation, and unity, so too are women in energy breaking barriers, creating opportunities, and leading with courage. The completion of GERD marks a new era for Ethiopia and the region. It expands access to clean, affordable electricity, it strengthens economic growth, and it positions Ethiopia as a key remarkable energy leader on the continent. For women, its impact is profound. Energy access means empowerment. opening pathway for education, safety, entrepreneurship, and leadership. As we enter this transformative chapter, we must ensure that women are not only benefiting of this progress, but architects of the energy future we are shaping. The Ethiopian Women in Energy Association was founded with this vision to close the gap, the gender gap in the sector, empower women as change agents, and creative pathway for professional growth. Over the years, EWiEn has nurtured talent, facilitated learning, and connected countless women to meaningful opportunities. Today, we see the tangible results. Women advanced into leadership, shaping policy, driving innovation, and influencing the energy discourse at our national and regional levels. Our role in leading technical and policy discussions continue to ensure that women's voice help shape Ethiopian energy future. This event is more than an award ceremony. It is a celebration of persistence, creativity, and collaboration. It is an affirmation that with determination, we can overcome limitations, whether they are resource constraints, social expectations, or systematic barriers. The women we honor today embody the spirit. Their work is transformative, providing that it is possible with talent, meet opportunity, and dedications. This year, we are proud to recognize the exceptional achievement of 3 outstanding women whose leadership, courage, integrity inspire us all. By celebrating them, we send a clear message. Women are not only participants in Ethiopia energy sector, they are essential drivers of the future. Before we proceed, I would like to express heartfelt appreciation to our partners, GIZ, INDEB, the Global Energy Alliance, the Ministry of Water and Energy, and to our generous sponsors, SNV, Ethiopian Electric Power, Veritas Consultant, and Mercy Corps. We are equally grateful to our exhibitors, ADRA Ethiopian, Setawit, Ledco PLC, Mesaret Merag Gabre, Solar Importer, Caritas Switzerland Ethiopian, Green Scene System Bio, and Gorgeous Solar Solutions. Your steadfast support is pivotal in advancing the role of women in energy and making this event possible. Together, we are not only transforming Ethiopian energy landscape, but also opening doors for future generation of female leaders. As we celebrate today, let us reaffirm our shared commitment to growth, equality, and inclusion. The challenges remain, but so do the opportunities. Let us continue to lift one another, speak boldly, and work collectively toward a future where women are fully inspired, represented in all aspects of Ethiopian energy industry. I invite everyone to join me in celebrating the achievement of our awardees. May their stories inspire us to reach higher, push boundaries, and continue building a sector, a nation where women thrive to lead. Thank you.
Your title is EWiEn Ambassador for a reason. And thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today and for being a wonderful supporter of this network from the very start. I now would like to welcome Mr. Mayu Marchin, Head of Program of GIZ NF Ethiopia. And I also must say, as you make your way to the stage, EWiEn has been a wonderful and close partner of EWiEn over the years. They have been sponsoring and supporting our network from capacity building training to providing direct financial support to make sure that we keep this wonderful association alive.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. I'm very pleased to be part of this event here today. I think that this is a very, very important event. Today, I think that we cannot imagine the energy sector in Ethiopia without EWiEn. EWiEn has been supporting the integration of women in the sector for some years now. They have, EWiEn has done a very, very good job in creating network, in developing capacities, in making the presence of women in the energy sector important. And today we are here to honor women which are playing a important role in the sector, women which inspire young women to get on board of this sector, professionally getting on board of this energy sector. Women which also encourage other women which are already in the sector to play a more important role in the sector, to take the lead, to take more responsibilities. Often when we talk about gender, when we talk about equality in the energy sector, we try to look for references. Often these references are quite recent. We have been talking about these topics for the past few decades, maybe for 1 century ago, when some women started fighting for the right of women to be able to, for example, vote the same way as men were doing. But I think that if we look at the history, we can also find some references which are a bit older than this. There is one that I really like very much, and this one is linked to a story that I would like to share with you today. Some of you may know Alexander the Great. Maybe so you have read about him, or you have heard about him, or when you have seen some films which are about the life of this man. Alexander the Great was a king of Macedon. Macedon was a kingdom of the ancient Greece. And Alexander was one of the greatest conquerors in the history. His empire covered from Greece to India. Also part of Northern Africa was part of the land that he conquered. And he was one very important representative of this time in which society was very, very male-dominated. Still it is today, but at that time maybe it was even more than today. Well, about 1 century before Alexander the Great was born, there was also the birth of another man who was also very important for the ancient Greece. This is Xenophon. Xenophon was a great soldier, a great military elite in that time. And he was from Athens. In Mesopotamia, there was a king who was fighting against enemies, and this king asked Xenophon to come to help him to fight against these enemies. Xenophon went there with 10,000 men. They walked and they had this very, very long trip up to more or less where the city of Babylon was placed at that time. But there was a moment in which Xenophon was betrayed. And then this meant that from one day to another, Xenophon and the 10,000 men who were with him found themselves in a land which was enemy land. And then they had to go back home. And they had to fight, and they have to survive to many difficulties. And they starved, and they also had diseases. But despite of this, these men get back home after several years, after thousands of kilometers. Actually, not all of them. It was Xenophon and maybe a few hundreds out of these 10,000 men. And now probably you are wondering why Mario is telling you about men when we are here in this event, which is to celebrate the work of women. Well, the story of Xenophon is not ending here. Xenophon, when he went back home, he was a hero. But then he retired from the military career. And then he became a writer, he became a philosopher. And when he was old, and actually he was very old because he lived for a long time, he wrote a book. This book is the Analysis. And this book tells us about the story of these 10,000 men which went very far from home to fight and had to go back home in very, very difficult conditions. And in this book also he talks about humankind, he talks about life, he talks about many things that concern everybody, and he makes very interesting reflections. And in one point in this book, he asks a question, and the question is, what is a woman? What is a woman? And then this man who had been fighting all over the world, or the world which was known for them at that time, and had all to survive and go over all these difficulties, and he knew very well what a war meant. This man also answered that question. And to this question, which was, what is a woman? The answer was, a woman is a soldier lost in the enemy land. I think that this is a very, very good definition of of the feeling that many women can have today. Probably feelings that women had at that time. And I insist, this great warrior, when he had time to reflect about what he could see in his society, found this definition: a woman is a soldier lost in enemy land. I think that here today we have many of these soldiers fighting in enemy land, because so far, still today, the energy sector is not easy for women to develop their own professional careers. And we have here all these soldiers, and we have 6 great soldiers nominated for the award this year. I thank to all these women for the work that they have been doing so far, for the work that they are still doing today, and I wish them the best of luck. Thank you very much.
So much, Mr. Mario. Soldiers in enemy land. I think that will stay with all of us the whole day. I must say, I felt that way in many of the events I participated in that had anything to do with energy, especially here in Addis. And I'm one of 2 or 3 women that usually go to workshops and many of these large events. And it's only until I joined this association that I learned there's so many women that actually are the forces behind our energy sector in this country. So it's not because they're not there, they're just not visible. And this is why I personally appreciate events like today that really makes sure we put them at the forefront of the plan. Okay, on to the next item on the agenda. We now have a presentation on the role of productive use of energy in electrification and economic development. That will be delivered by Inas Abdulmalik, Ethiopian country lead at the Global Energy Alliance for People and Planet. We will also have a panel that follows this presentation, where we will hear more about productive use of energy on demand and economic stimulation, particularly in rural areas, which will allow us to delve even deeper to really understand this topic within the context of Ethiopia. So welcome, thank you, Inas.
እንዴት አደራችሁ? This is my 4th time, I think, attending EWiEn. Just a quick story on my side, because when EWiEn started now 5-6 years ago, I think approximately, I had just had my 2nd child, and I wasn't able to attend all of their events but I was a big supporter, and I'm still a very huge supporter of this event. And it heartens me to see the number of people that actually came today to this event, and B, the number of men that actually came to this event. So a round of applause for all the men that actually showed up here. I think it's about 50%. So thank you for coming. Although this is an event to celebrate all the great work that EWiEn has done this year, and to celebrate all the great achievements all the women have done, these support will not happen without the support of all these men that are actually here and beyond at EEP, at EEU. So thank you again. On behalf of EWiEn. So my name is Anas. I'm the country lead for the Global Energy Alliance based out of Addis. I know most people, and it's nice to meet you all. So let me kick off with our presentation. Great. So the presentation today is to talk about the productive use of energy across Ethiopia and also across the globe as well. The Global Energy Alliance actually works across 30 different countries, across Sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia, the Caribbean, Latin America, and we really focus on both energy access and transition, and ensuring that people are actually using the energy. So productive use is a big component of our work. So generally, we know that the global energy transition globally is estimated to deliver $160 trillion to the world economy. But who are they leaving behind? So that's a big question here, and something we're going to talk about today. At the same time, there's 1.2 billion young people entering the workforce by the end of this decade, by 2030. And with only 420 million, so a very small component of that, projected to actually jobs to be available, the need is actually quite urgent to ensure that new jobs are actually coming into play, and to ensure that the transition is actually just as well. We also know that without access to electricity, it means that we still leave behind a large population of the global population without actually having basic access to energy. This is a tragedy, and we all here, in the room, are here to actually change that. We also know the basic facts. We know that without energy access, you can't grow within the economic development sort of angle. Up top, you see here all the developed countries, UAE, Canada, USA. The GDP per capita is approximately 100,000. At the bottom, Ethiopia is not here, we have the lower developed countries. We have Niger, Chad, Malawi, DRC. Ethiopia is also somewhere down here. So the facts are clear. With increased use of energy, with increased use of per kilowatt hour, people actually grow upwards within the economic development metrics. So the access to energy and the use of energy is a big component to actually ensure that people actually improve their income and livelihood capabilities. So what can we do within the productive use of energy world? A lot. In Ethiopia, agriculture actually, I believe the stats is that 70% of our GDP comes from agriculture, but it employs about 40% of the population. So agriculture over here, there's land preparation, milling, irrigation, oil pressing, drying, fishing, cold storage, ice making, threshers, incubators, and it goes on. Within the services of the light manufacturing area, we have e-mobility, we have hairdressing, carpentry, small businesses, retail, cooling, electronic repair shops, and so on. Within manufacturing, we have agro-processing, we have new industries, we have construction materials, we have textile. Within healthcare, there's vaccine storages, there's refrigeration, sanitation, and within other sectors as well, education, ICT, hospitality, construction, energy cuts essentially across the whole economy. So at the Global Energy Alliance, as an alliance, we actually try to, by 2050, avail 15 to 20 million people within new green industries. So net new formal and informal jobs through new industries across all of our countries. And productive use of energy, like the big green block here, we're like keen to actually avail approximately about 200 million new jobs or improved jobs within the PUE space. And we're providing, currently, we have quite a lot of programs across our countries, and like I'll speak to a few of them. And like Nigeria, where we're like energizing 9 agri-value chains with 20 different partners, we've seen improved incomes of 30% in rice milling, palm oil processing, cold storage for fisheries, and so on. In Haiti, we're done quite a few interventions there as well. We've supported micro-entrepreneurs, increasing their income by like 2 to 3x. In India, we've worked in developing a digital platform to connect customers to financial institutions, MFIs, to adopt PUEs. In Ethiopia, this is our very own Rakik over here, which I don't think she's here today. But she's been a recipient of a financing facility we call PUF, the Productive Use Financing Facility, but it's actually across multiple countries in Africa. It's in Ethiopia, it's in Sierra Leone, Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria, DRC, and we have a second version of that that's actually come into play too, PUF 2.0. In Ethiopia, we've currently just kicked off, actually Ethiopia and Nigeria, we've currently just kicked off a new program called EWAS. It stands for Energizing Women in Agri-Value Chain Systems, where we aim to avail new jobs, 17,000 jobs, and actually improve livelihoods of approximately 136,000 across like the two countries. And in Ethiopia, just to speak on this a little bit, it actually builds on an existing program we have that's been ongoing for like the last few years called DREAM, which DREAM actually focuses on like irrigation, but as well as other productive use, such as cold storage for like high value horticulture crops. And like in like Nigeria, it's actually leveraging an existing program called the Energizing Agriculture Program. So it's focused around cold storage for like fisheries, poultry, horticulture, and so on. One step back. So like the purpose of the EWAS program is essentially twofold. It's to increase the adoption of PUEs and is to promote the sustained use of these technologies across different agriculture value chains, working with different partners. We aim to supply affordable PUEs. We partner with different agri-value chain actors. We provide venture building support to PUE companies that actually serve young women. And we also provide TA, convening, and like advocacy. We work across different value chains here in Ethiopia. We work within the coffee sector, so we're actually availing pulpers and biogas digesters, which is the output of the pulpers, which would provide clean cooking for these young women. We're going to avail multi-grain mills that would be able to process wheat, maize, teff, and so on. We're going to work around the fishery sector, do a demand assessment, and look at the market opportunities across the fishery sector. We're going to work within the apiculture sector, so like honey extractors, wax extractors, and so on. Poultry incubators, heaters, and cold storage facilities for high-value horticulture crops. And I think that's the end of my presentation, but I'll leave it at this slide. And yeah, thank you so much.
A wonderful lead-in for the next panel that will discuss even more in detail this productive use of energy topic. This panel specifically will be on the use of energy in supporting or stimulating demand in the economy in rural areas. I won't say too much about it because the moderator will join us shortly. Until then, I will introduce our moderator, who will be Salamawit Beneberu, who is an energy sector professional working to advance sustainable energy access, rural electrification, and productive use of energy in Ethiopia. She's a founder and managing director of Lunar Consulting, which provides strategic advisory on various renewable energy and mini-grid projects. She also served as the vice chair of EWiEn for several years, and she's been part of the EWiEn family since the beginning. So welcome, Salamawit.
One introduction. Really, I would like to take this opportunity also to extend my gratitude to the Ethiopian Women Energy for organizing such a beautiful event and also allowing me to moderate this session. Good morning, distinguished guests, panelists, champions of the energy sector, respected colleagues, and all participants. It's an honor for me to welcome you to this wonderful panel discussion. As introduced, my name is Salamait Beneberu, founder and managing director of Lunar Consultancy PLC. And also, I am pleased to moderate today's panel discussion on the role of productive use of energy in stimulating demand and economic activity in rural Ethiopia. Inas, thank you for giving us the background regarding the productive use of energy and the extensive initiatives what GIAP doing in several countries. Just to give you a short rationale, despite, as mentioned in the presentation, a lot of Ethiopian population rely on farming. We have a very low agricultural productivity and also limited value addition. Additionally, there is very restricted access to modern equipment which limits economic growth and as well as electricity access. This directly have impact on sustainability of rural electrification initiatives, including mini-grid and standalone systems. So productive use of energy have a power to transform the rural community economy through boosting of productivity, creating a sustainable demand for rural goods and unlocking new economic opportunities. And also, if it is implemented inclusively, it will be empowering women to lead the leading role of value chain activities through, of course, actually through support in technology, training, as well as finance. So today's panel discussion will help us to explore practical experiences, opportunities, and challenges for scaling up of the Ethiopian productive use of energy, highlighting the role of women empowerment, development organizations, government, policymakers, the private sector in driving sustainable rural electrification and inclusive economic growth. So without any further ado, I would like to call up our esteemed panelists to the stage. And first I'll call Mr. Chianda Injungu, representing EWAS. I hope I pronounced it well. Yeah, he's from Kenya Regional Office, where he serves as a manager for demand, job and livelihood. He brings extensive regional experience in promoting productive use of energy in agricultural value chain and drive women economic participation through renewable energy-based livelihood interventions. Please welcome Chianda. Thank you. Our second panelist is Mr. Tilahun Brahanu, or Ato Tilahun Brahanu from Ethiopian Electric Utility. He brings 17 years of experience in the Ethiopian electricity sector, served in several technologies as leadership role. He is currently directed the Universal Access Program, leading national effort to expand rural electrification and improve sustainable energy access. Please join me. Finally, our third panelist is representing the private sector. I'm calling Ato Haptamu, Ato Tesfai Haptamu. the market development and grant management manager at Mesaret Mare Solar Import and Installation PLC. Tasfaye is an experienced development professional with a multidisciplinary background in agriculture, economics, and engineering, with over 15 years of experience in the renewable energy development. He is now working with Mesaret Mare. Please welcome Ato Tasfaye.
Very excited to be here today. Had quite a lot about this event from my colleague Inas. And so as Salamat mentioned, my name is Shianda Jogu. I'm a manager in the Energy and Opportunity team within the Global Energy Alliance based out of our Nairobi office. I won't speak too much about what the Global Energy Alliance does because I hope the presentation gave quite a bit of background and context to what the Global Energy Alliance is doing in this particular area around energy and opportunity. But I will dive deeper within the conversation about how what we've learned from the various programs that were mentioned, so from different countries across the continent, which have been a part of, from Nigeria to Malawi, to Kenya, to Uganda, and DRC. So I'm looking forward to sharing the lessons that we've learned and also how it's informing how we're thinking about work moving forward, especially in EWAS, in Ethiopia, in Nigeria, and the other countries that we are keen to continue supporting in this energy-enabled economic transition. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. My name is Tom Brown, and working in EU as Director of the Universal Electric Access Program. My background is actually from the engineering stream. I'm an electrical engineer and have worked as operational as well as project management member for the last 17 years. And the program that I am representing is the Universal Electric Access Program, which basically works on rural electrification. This program has been established some 19 years back, and starting from that time, then about 7,600 rural villages and villages have been electrified through the finance support obtained from the government and the different development partners. In doing so, then the total number of customers currently getting electricity in EU have reached around 5 million something. But when this program started, the total number of customers was below 2 million, even in the last 5-6 years. Through the programs, through the finances obtained from the World Bank, about 2 million customers electrified. The program name is actually ELIP, which is Electrification Program in Ethiopia, and it basically focuses on increasing connectivity in rural and urban areas. So this program actually resides in Addis, but has about 11 regional project offices in different regions of the country, except Addis, Dredao, and Harar. In the other regions, we have regional project offices representing our program, and we also have other 5 project offices working with us in Addis, and there are more than, about 16 project offices under this program, and maybe during the discussion time, I will raise more. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Tasfaye Abtam from Mesaret Mare Solar Importer and Installer Company. Already my background is explained by Salamat. At the beginning, the Mesaret Mare is owned by a woman entrepreneur, Mesaret Mare, the leader of this establisher of the Mesaret Mare Solar Importer Company. And our business is focused on importing pumps, both fixed and mobile pumps, both surface and submersible pumps. For this, focusing on smaller farmers, medium farmers, and commercial farmers, and plus NGOs that serve the communities and the government also. we provide. And our business is focused on not only importing and distributing pumps, we also install pumps, commissioning pumps, and also financing with loan or lease to win approach. We use also, we have our marketing models, and we provide to the farmers on this way also supporting it. And also we provide also after sales service, and we train the farmers also for minor maintenance, the farmers and our coverage is all over Ethiopia. Thank you.
Thank you all for the brief introduction. With this short introduction, directly we will go to the panel discussion, which I will forward questions for our STEM panelists. And I would like to start with Ms.
We provide also this lease, or we provide for assume the pump price is $1,000. We pay, the farmers pay only 10% down payment from upfront cost, and the remaining 90% is through overpayment payment per hectare. We provide all the time, and this was on 3 places for drinking water supply in Amara region, 2 regions, and in Oromia region, 1. We provide on that way, and after they pay the full payment, the ownership is transferred from us to the community, and this helps us, the farmers. They, instead of using diesel pump, they use solar pumps, and the farmer benefits from consuming expenditure from fuels, and the other, we assist us to environmental friendly, and we reduce emission, at least by assume the, according to IPCC, per liter 2.6 kilogram of ton of carbon is emit from the diesel, and when we change the diesel pump into solar pump, we save that amount of that. And then we did like that, and the communities benefited from fuel, and maintenance cost reduced, and emission is reduced, and also sustainability and ownership is assured, and the community can access clean water. That is one of our ways. The other ways, we look for grant, and through grant, the farmers and looking for also microfinance. We are now on negotiation on pipeline with agreeing with microfinances to get this loan for farmers, and we are using on that way also, and we are also on cooperative ways, ownership, we organize the farmers ownership together with the partners, the government partners, and if they are group, the share is minimized, and then we do like that also.
Thank you, Tesfai. I think what you raised regarding to fill the gap of the purchasing capacity of the farmers, you are engaging financiers and microfinance institutions so that the farmers can easily access the productive use of energy. Maybe to just have some information, do you have any experience in, for example, installation and operation and management experience under your project?
I think we have experts, technicians.
And also the challenges.
We have technicians, around more than 10 experts is employed in Masrat Mare. There are technicians, promoters, and it is easy for us. We have mobile technicians. They move it and they fix the problems if happen. And simple maintenance, we train the farmers, and simply they can troubleshoot. Simply, if above his capacity, they call immediately, and our mobile technicians, they move and they fix it, the problem. The main challenge we face is currency. The currency is one of our problems, the financial problem, and also getting microfinance that support these small order farmers is also one of the problem, because they ask collateral. That is the other problem, and there is no credit guarantee. That is our problem. And the other problem is most of the areas we install is solar is very far, and there is access road is one of the problem. And this is the other problem for these new technologies.
Yeah, thank you for the brief describing the questions. What highlighted is the challenge. The major challenge is the hard currency challenge to import the productive use of energy, and as well as guarantee fund, I think for the company, not for end users. And additionally, the infrastructure issue, which is happening all over the country. Hopefully it will improve. With this, I think I will go to our panelists from the Ethiopian Electric Utility to give us an update and progress on the World Bank funded mini-grid projects, also highlighting the integration of productive use of energy in the mini-grid projects, the importance of integrating PUE.
Actually, EU has started implementing off-grid projects some 6 years back, 7 years back. Our experience is not as such huge, but at least we are on the track. And in 2021 and 2019, some mini-grid projects have started. So the finance obtained from the World Bank, and the name of the finance was ELIP. And using that finance, we have implemented about 12 mini-grids in different parts of the country. And following that, again, from using the finance obtained from FDB, again, we have started implementing construction of 25 mini-grids. In fact, of 25 only, we are continuing constructing 20 of the mini-grids. And again, following that, using the finance obtained from the World Bank and daily finance, we are constructing about 100 mini-grids in different parts of the country. And through these 3 different projects, we are able to energize, electrify about 26 rural villages until now. From the former ELIP finance, we have energized around 11 mini-grids. Actually, the total number of mini-grids in the first ELIP finance was 12. Of that, we have completed 11 mini-grids, and one is under construction. And out of the 20 mini-grids construction. And from the 100 mini grid project is financed through the World Bank Academic Finance. We are almost constructing 83 of the mini grids, and of which we have electrified 6 sites, and the others are under construction. They are progressing. So, following the completion of those mini grids, we are parallelly connecting meters. In fact, the number of meters we are connecting after completing these mini grids are not as expected, because there are different challenges when you go to the rural area. There are affordability issues. There is understanding challenges, problems, because people do not really understand how they can better utilize those already constructed mini grids instead of using other kinds of alternative energy sources in the rural area. So they are mostly focusing on other kinds of energy alternatives. So because of that, we are not actually using those already completed mini grids as expected, as we have actually planned. However, we are able to connect more than 6,000 customers until now, and we are continuing just promoting this. I mean, use of this mini grid generated electricity by the rural community. We are trying to work with the regional government, the world administration. We are also working with other supporters. For example, recently we have done something with EWiEn television. We have prepared some site in East Paraguay, and we have communicated them to at least support the community in paying the cost of connection, for making connection. So they were willing, they have paid about 2.5 million. Then what we have done is that we have just, as soon as we completed the construction of that mini grid, we have went to the site and then registered the customers who just want to be connected, and they are not going to pay anything. So with the amount EWiEn sponsored, we were able to connect more than 250 customers in a single category. That was quite a significant number for us, because in most of the categories we are not able to connect such a big number of customers at once. Usually 50, 60, 70, small number of customers we usually connect. So because of that, what we have done with EWiEn was something very important. We are also trying to do the same way with the world administrations, at least to cover part of the payment for the rural community, because there is an affordability issue. So in some waradas, those willing, they are trying to support parts of the community, not all, but part of the community they are trying to support. And the other thing that we are trying to do is that maybe in the recently approved compact document, there is actually the subsidy issue, and we have recently received support from the World Bank, and a project called Asset has already started. So in that finance, we are trying to solve this affordability problems. I mean, by subsidizing at least 50% of the cost of the connection fee for about 480 customers, 480,000 customers. So there is a finance which is directly obtained from the Danish government through the finance, through the World Bank support. So in that finance, we are kind of trying to support the rural, basically those who are unable to pay for the connection payment, at least to support by 50%, to pay 50% of the payment. And we are expecting to connect about 480,000 connections through that subsidy package. So in doing so, we believe we will solve the affordability problem partly in the future. But from what we have done until now, what I can say is that we are trying to connect health centers, schools. We are trying small businesses. As long as there are customers, we are not distinguishing. We are just trying to connect. Basically, small businesses are very willing to immediately connect, because they usually use either diesel or other kinds of energy sources. Therefore, they will come in immediately, get connected. Health centers, FCCs, educations, schools, things like that, we are connecting, and we are kind of trying to support the productive use of energy, at the same time trying to connect more and more customers in the rural areas using this.
Thank you, Tinaman, for the brief updates. Thank you, and good to hear that already around 20 mini-grids finalized and providing service for the 6,000 people. As we can hear, as per your explanation, in the EU project is actually as a government priority is given for equity and access creation because always government is trying to address the electricity to each community and site selection and other issues may restrict the Ethiopian electric utility to select a site with good economic development. Actually, on the challenge you mentioned on the capacity of the customers to finance their connection, maybe you can think of linking with local microfinances. They can have a finance from there with 1 or 2 years down payment. They can finance their connection. But as you mentioned, integrating all starting from the planning, integrating productive use of energy as a sustainable strategy might help through awareness and other activities. I hope my colleague, our guest from Kenya will have best experience to address such challenges raised. And I would like to invite Shianda to give us what lessons can Ethiopia draw from successful EU-driven rural development programs from your global experience.
Thank you. I'll piggyback what the experience from the EU has given so far, and so across the continent, distributed renewable energy such as mini-grids, solar are expanding quickly, and so one of the early lessons that we sought to get experience in and begin to create an impact is how do we pair distributed renewable energy with productive uses of energy. And so we began this work in Nigeria, where they had already begun work around developing mini-grid sites. So back in 2021, there were about 50 or so mini-grid sites that were operational, but the consumption of electricity and the sustainability of these assets was very low. And so we only had about an average consumption per person of about 73 kilowatt hours annually, as compared to probably the average of 140 for grid electricity across the continent. So what we sought out to do is, it's great to have access is a starting point. So having access is a starting point, but access only for lighting is not alone won't be enough. So what we aim to do is how do we build ecosystems for productive use within these communities, and so within these communities, so energy access development and economic development run in parallel. So how do we bring those two together? So in many instances where electricity may be taken to, the economic development programs are not co-located, and so that we wanted to try and solve that issue. And so what we by partnering with the Rural Electrification Agency and RMI, we began the Energizing Agriculture program to begin to bring partners from across the spectrum together and really focusing on place-based interventions that seek to build this ecosystem. So the first thing that we did is we started a private sector-driven accelerator that worked with the mini-grid operators. It worked with productive use equipment suppliers. It worked with agricultural development partners that work in these communities. And so what we did is, with the catalytic capital, helped catalyze business models across multiple value chains and technologies. So we had projects from rice milling, from grain milling, so thinking about how to not only bring new equipment, but also energize existing equipment. So as we know, in these communities, there are incumbent uses of diesel and petrol for applications such as milling. So how do we power those using the new energy from the mini grids? So we did this across multiple value chains, across different parts of the country, and by bringing all these partners together, we had over 30 partners together across 9 value chains. We're able to learn quite a bit about what works, what doesn't. So one of the things that we learned quickly is, while you may have energy already in place, if you do not design the systems with growing loads and productive uses that may be available now or later in the future, you'll run into the problem whereby you can bring in new equipment, new business models, but then find yourself running into a challenge where there isn't enough power, it isn't as strong as it would be, and customer satisfaction is a critical success factor for sustaining this type of business models, where energy is a critical ingredient to making it work.
Really appreciate Tiana for the brief experience sharing. Really interesting approach, apart from creating energy access and benefiting rural community. Boosting their economic growth through promotion and marketing of productive uses of energy is, I think, a key transforming thing we have to consider, and I think every organization needs to plan and design such projects to support productive use of energy as a sustainable strategy. So that the scaling up of such projects will be possible. Thank you again. Now I'll come back to Tesfaye to just bring your attention on to give us what you can see the opportunities to expand women's role in ownership, distribution, and sales of productive use of energy.
To initiate women in productive use of energy, we have to think on a financial target and financial loan target on women only. That enable women, empower women financially, and that able access to women to establish productive use of energy. Therefore, the finance center should be target to women. Target finance center is good. The other is establishing a value chain that is focused on addressing the burden of women, like milling or drinking water structures that reduces women burden. If you focus on that, and that is owned by women also, that encourages women's participation on the energy sector. The other is after sales service or trained technician, women technician, to address these issues. And the other is assign women's established milestone agents or delivery agents that lead by women. If you see, most of the companies sit in either the capital city of Ethiopia, they are not delivered they have no agents at the farmers gate. Therefore, if you assign women's lead delivery agent, that is good to upgrade or empower women.
Yeah, thank you. That's fine. Actually, engaging, especially beyond using the electricity, encouraging women to use the agriculture value chain, really bring radical change to the family and in total on the overall growth, economic growth of the countries. Yeah, with this, I'll go to Talahun. If you have any experience or in your planning in engaging productive use of energy to have sustainable operation of the project because the income generated from the product in promoting productive use of energy will allow to have a sustainable energy demand for the off-grid, the rural grids. So do you have such experience in engaging productive use of energy in your planning? How the operation and maintenance is managed? Is the project by itself enough to manage and operate the system? I mean, the tariff collected from the customers will be enough to accommodate that one. Also, can you explain whether how women are encouraged to involve in productive use of energy and other activities within the electric utility?
Salam once again. Actually, we are in recent, in our previous experiences, we are not specifically planning for productive use of energy, but recently I was in some other country and I've tried to take some experience and have seen that we need to, in addition to electrifying the rural areas, we have to parallelly plan on and focusing work on productive use of energy. Actually, whenever we complete any rural electrification work or any rural coverage, and we will connect any customer you find, be it small businesses, as I said earlier, schools, farmer training centers, whatever. But in our plan, we are not putting this as a separate plan in our education plan. So what I have recently taken from recent experience is that we need to focus. Actually, we need to work with other ministries, with other regional government offices, and with other organizations also, because it is if only we do that those high investment mini grid projects will be successful, and even rural villages we connect from. I mean, using the grid should also be focusing on such things. And it is only then that we can say we at least get some reasonable return in this area. Actually, from our experience, from what we are seeing, when we are connecting, the number of customers we are connecting after completing mini grid projects, soft grid projects, is very small. I mentioned earlier. At the same time, it is even difficult collecting the consumption fee. The bill is also not simple in the rural areas. It is very far from the center. Our employees, in fact, they go and try to collect bills, but we are not properly collecting even bills. Even if we collect, the bill is not sufficient to cover operational and maintenance costs. So what we can say is that we are supporting, we are subsidizing these mini grids from the bill, from the collections what we are collecting from the bill, from urban and cities. So we need to focus on that area also. We need to work with others, like the Ministry of Irrigation, for example, or irrigation purpose. They have to. I mean, it is easy to irrigate using electricity. We have already constructed and already available in the area. So there are farmers in different areas. For example, I was recently in South Omo. There is a river which is called Omo River. There is a mini grid which we have recently constructed and energized. The farmers are close to the river, but they are not having the chance to use simply to pump water just get better product in terms of irrigation. So we need to actually work with other different government offices also. So the more we just share experience with other countries and other partners, the more we will be trying to look into our planning, how we have to focus on which area we have to give more emphasis, and then we also as a company, if we have to survive, then we need to at least get a return on investment. We are investing a lot, and if we continue the same way, doing mini-grid projects, soft-grid projects will not be encouraging, because the tariff, even the existing tariff is not sufficient, it's not cost effective. At the same time, we are not getting sufficient number of customers in the rural area, and we are not properly collecting the consumption fees as well. So if we continue like this, obviously a company that continues this way cannot give reliable service, cannot continue, cannot exist. So for the mini, specifically for the mini grids, we need to focus on that and have some planning out, actually planning, and then.
Yeah, thank you, Delaman. I think the idea you raised to collaborate different actors in different sector, for example, EU with agriculture and the Ministry of Energy might also address the issues, but it's good also to see from the planning, starting from site selections and other lessons before directly implementing the mini-grids. I think with this, I would like to hear from Chianda on the proven and most effective approach in accelerating women's participating as users, entrepreneurs, or suppliers of the products of energy.
Thank you. So we've tried quite a bit across the continent and globally. But how I would frame it is in a couple of areas. So the first one is starting with really ambitious goals, or targets that scare you. And when we first started out this work around productive use, we had a target of 50% of all end users targeted being women, and have since been growing that. And so that really is a starting point. You need to set goals that are ambitious and push not only you, everyone across the value chain that you're acting in. And so that is really the fundamental piece of it to start with. The second one is you really need to think about programs that have gender either as the major focus. So, for example, EWAS is one of those programs, but so developing gender-specific programs that target women as end users, as actors in the private sector space, as suppliers and distributors and service providers, as well as within programs that are more cross-cutting, more ecosystem-based. Think about how you have specific windows where you can work with where you can support women. So, for example, on gender-specific programs, we in 2021 we started a program with CARE in Sierra Leone called the Solar Harnessed Entrepreneurs Program, or SHE for short, in short. And so this was a purely productive use women focused program working to enable 7,500 women start or improve energy enabled businesses in multiple activities. An example of a program that isn't gender from the outset but has gender goals in it is the Energizing Agriculture Program, which when we started it, we had a target of 40% of the target beneficiaries being women, but by the end of the program, we were able to get to 67%. So we were able to achieve higher results than we had initially envisioned. And part of doing that, which now boils into the final piece of this, is already, we need to start working, you need to work in value chains and activities where women are already embedded and are active in it, but there is an opportunity to impact them more. So, for example, one of the projects that in Nigeria that lends itself to this example is we worked with a partner that was providing cold storage, walk-in cold storage units in mini-grid communities, and so they took on a new project to form women in cooperatives around fish collection and fish aggregation. And so this is something that women are already doing, but with energy, we're able to get a higher income based on total amount of fish aggregated that can be sold to higher value markets in urban areas. So that's just one example. Another example, or another intervention that's really important is catalytic financing. So this has already been mentioned in the example of the water pumping around reducing some of the upfront payments required. So it's a powerful starting step alongside technical assistance, capacity building, so that we enable women participants as entrepreneurs. Because one of the things that we learned in Nigeria, for example, is that women in the rural communities will not take new equipment opportunities if they're not sure there's an income-generating business model behind it. So they're very smart in that they will not take a risk that they've not appropriately thought through. But with capacity building and technical assistance and awareness building and mindset shift, you can be able to catalyze women to take more entrepreneurial risk. And what we were really encouraged by is for participants who, for example, bought solar-powered freezers that were women, we saw them having better repayment rates on the chest freezers, for example, compared to their male counterparts who had bought the freezers. So you can see that beyond financing, that the technical assistance is really critical to enabling women to take more entrepreneurial risk with confidence.
Thank you, Chianda. Really very interesting experience. The pre-planning, as Chianda mentioned, support, even if it was ambitious plan, it will be manageable to increase women's role in the productive use of energy ecosystem through financial, technical, and technology support. I guess very interesting approach. I think I will come to my last question to testify regarding their opinion on what partnership will with government, financial institutions, and other development organizations will make rural market and scaling more visibility of productivity of.
I think our partner is government offices, the Ministry of Energy and Water is our partner, and also NGOs like SNV, GIZ, and other NGOs is our partner, and also the farmers is our partner. We are serving him, and then they are our partners, and we are a good relation with them, and also bank, microfinance, some microfinance are also our partners to boost this dissemination of pampas. Mainly, we are using a mixed approaches, and we recommend a mixed approach of like collective packaging. Technology, we are supplying technology, applying technology, and plus finance. We are looking finance, that is microfinancing either the farmers or us, and plus business training. We compile business training and plus marketing. That is our collecting packaging to serve the communities or to distribute the pump. And during this time, we look for partners like government organizations to establish cooperatives and linking with us. And we are using all this to partnership to implement this pump distribution and installation and commissioning. And also we are looking for grants. And we are doing even we get grants from some organizations like WinRock and the others and our grant is based on performance approach. They provide grant based on our performance, based our installation. That is also supporting us. And technical assistance, as my colleagues has mentioned, to support or strengthening this private sector is important in both government side and donors. That is a basic idea to encourage private sector to boost its agricultural values.
Thank you, Tasfai. Now my last question, and also the last question for this discussion will go to Gianda to give us how blended finance be structured to reduce risks and encourage investment in rural POU ecosystem, and how can development agencies partner with an Ethiopia institution to ensure inclusive implementation that benefits women, maybe considering your regional experience?
Actually, to blend all types of finance available in the sector towards this, and it's no easy task. But from where we sit as the Global Energy Alliance, we see the role for the type of funding that we have in supporting the ecosystem, so through results-based financing. But critically, what we've seen is that concessional capital in different forms, either from philanthropic sources or public sources, is like really the bedrock to begin creating a market that can absorb return-seeking types of capital. So starting with that layer of grants, subsidies that are provided by public and philanthropic sources as really critical to kickstarting the market. And that's what we've tried to do through different types of interventions. So the productive use financing facility is one example, which when we first carried this out, piloted it, we saw it enabling productive use equipment distributors using that type of funding, that results-based financing grant, to be able to seek capital. So we saw companies that were able to raise more grants, companies that were able to raise debt for the first time, were able to partner with banks to finance equipment, as well as others raising equity. And so the layering of these different forms of capital should be such that they advance the market. So they advance the market in a way that is sustainable. And so we need to start with the concessional pieces where early stage companies and newer markets grow, and then start moving towards return-seeking capital. And so that it's a whole journey. So if you think about that, the blending of finance, it's a journey where it's a journey across the board that will take time, but most importantly, a lot of coordination and complementarity, because we do understand the complexities of trying to bring in different types of capital, working towards the same type of goals in different markets. It's with different risk appetites that investors and funders may have, but it has to be an intentional and thoughtful process. And so we can only do this through coalitions that are working towards goals that are aligned. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tianda. I hope we are in time. With this, we will conclude our panel discussion. Just to summarize and insight on today's panel discussion. As we can see, productive use of technology drive the rural electrification by creating electricity demand, and also stimulates economic and agricultural productivity. It also have a great impact on increasing women's participation in ownership, distribution, and enterprise development. I will give the rest chance to discuss bilaterally during the networking time. Thank you so much.
Welcome again to the fifth Influential Women in Energy Award is Salamite Seleshi. Salamite is an accomplished engineer and CEO of Salam Engineering with over a decade of experience in this sector. She's a dedicated champion of community development and gender inclusivity, prioritizing women in recruitment and empowering them in her organizations. Her career exemplifies resilience and a commitment to transforming Ethiopia's energy landscape and empowering women in the field of engineering. Congratulations on that. Now we'll move on to the presenting of the physical awards for this Influential Women in Energy Award this year. But before I do that, I would like to, I'm going to stay here because I'll be calling multiple to the stage. Please come up to the stage and receive your recognition. Haimanot, please come to the stage. Look at it. ሶስታችሁን ፎቶ ላይ ልትገቡልን እባካችሁ ወደ ስቴጅ
Thank you so much again. Receiving this award from Ethiopian Women's Association is deeply meaningful and inspiring, and it is an honor to collaborate, to work together. So we cannot build a project, we will build the brighter Ethiopia. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Actually, I would like to thank EWiEn for considering my contribution in the energy sector and for selecting me for this 2025 Energy Award. I'm really grateful, thank you. I've been working more than 10 years in the energy sector and this award means a lot to me, so I'm thankful. I would like to thank God for helping me in all my work and for getting any achievement that I have done so far. I praise God for everything, and also I would like to thank my parents for being a good model. My mother, she's here. The person who I am today, just to be a responsible, dedicated person. So for all that, I'm so grateful, and also I would like to appreciate and thank my husband. ECO. That is the first organization that I have joined. Currently it is EP and EU because I have learned a lot and I've got a good experience. That's a base for my career, so I'm very grateful and respectful for ECO, now currently EP. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. First of all, I want to thank the Almighty God for supporting me to reach here. And then I want to thank my parents, my children, my husband, and my siblings. They are the ones who believed in me whenever I was doubting myself. And also I want to thank my friends at EP, my colleagues. They have given me the biggest opportunities that I could have. And also I want to thank EWiEn because women are not usually celebrated for their accomplishments, especially professionally, politically, economically. So EWiEn has brought a good platform to celebrate women for their contribution. So I want to thank everyone and happy to see you all here.
ዛሬ እንደዚህ ደምቃችሁ እንደታያችሁ for the rest of your career እንደዚሁ ድመቁ። We would be remiss if we don't recognize all the other nominees, the jury, but also other supporters that have made this event, but also all of our work thus far possible. So as one of our major partners and supporters, I'm going to call on Global Energy Alliance to help me present a certificate of excellence to several Inas, please to the stage again. Mulu Burhan Wale, if you're in the room, please come up and take your certificate. Our third nominee, who I believe, okay, I don't think she's in the room. ስፖንሰሮቻችን እንሄዳለን። We would like to award SNP. We would like to recognize SNP for their great support. A representative from SNP, please come up to the stage. Thank you so much. You've made your presence here means that everybody who received the recognition, the award as well as the recognition, feels seen, and I hope we continue doing that for each other. So now is lunchtime. It's going to be an intimate and great discussion because we will also open it up to question and answer at the end. It's going to be focusing on the Mission 300 initiative, particularly Ethiopia's Energy Compact. I won't say too much because we have our moderator ready. And I'll hand over the mic to her, Activist Bagala, and Vice President, please come to the stage and introduce our panelists for us.
It might be better if I invite my panelists to the stage. Ato Hosai, Ms. Devon, Ines, and Wandaya. Thank you very much. As you all might know that biomass is the dominant energy source in Ethiopia, and previously there have been different initiatives to achieve universal electricity access. And much has been achieved, but however, there has to be additional work in order to achieve universal electrification in Ethiopia. And one of the new initiatives is the Ethiopian Energy Compact under Mission 300. And today we will be discussing about what are the contents of Mission 300 and what we should be expecting in terms of Ethiopia's energy sector. And for this, as you will see, we have a great panelists who are working on this sector and who will be able to tell us about the opportunities and the challenges. So I will let my panelists introduce themselves. I'll start with Ines.
Thank you, Ataklit. This is the fourth time on the stage, so I don't know if I have to, but my name is Ines Malik. I'm the country lead for the Global Energy Alliance based in Addis.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. My name is Gosai Mungiste. I am now a senior energy advisor in the Ministry of Water and Energy, and I was leading the National Energy Compact team.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mugdas Misdo. I am a lawyer by profession, and I'm the founder and principal of Mugdas Associates, which is a corporate commercial legal firm that focuses with energy, power, and infrastructure projects.
Okay, good afternoon or very good afternoon, everyone. My name is Wendayo Damse. I'm an energy specialist working for the World Bank based in Addis, supporting basically access side of interventions of the bank. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to start with Wandaya. Given Mission 300 is mainly supported by the World Bank and FDB, it would be good if you can give us an overview of what are the key components of Mission 300.
Okay, thank you very much for the invitation first. So congratulations to the awardees. You really deserve that. Not only this year's awardees, but the former awardees. You are influencing, the association is influencing, you all are influencing the sector, so it's a pleasure to be part of this panel. Mission 300 is a joint initiative of the World Bank and the African Development Bank to provide access to clean, affordable energy to 300 people living in sub-Saharan Africa. So you may heard this number, 600 million sub-Saharan African people lack access to clean energy, right? Out of which the two big development partners have pledged, to support these countries in order to provide access to half of this 300 million, that means by 2030. So this joint initiative also is supported and actually involves the private sector, the Rockefeller Foundation, the GIAP, the SMAP, which is the in-house fund for the World Bank, and others, because we wouldn't expect concessional financing and donor financing to, they would definitely catalyze, investments, but they would not be enough. So private sector participation is also critical as part of the plan. So this initiative is going to be implemented through country-owned, country-led plans, which are called energy compacts, so which the countries have given their political wills to prepare and implement the compacts. So this is, in a nutshell, what the energy compact, the M300 envisions. And according to that, we do have the energy compact for Ethiopia, the subject of this panel, which is going to be explained by the next speaker, perhaps.
Yes, definitely. Ato Gose, I want to come back to you, and if you could explain the key components of the Ethiopian Energy Compact.
Okay. Thank you, Ataklt. Before going to the details, just to give you some background, in the world, only 9% of the population have no access to electricity. 9%. Out of this 9%, 83% are living in sub-Saharan Africa. That the number 600 million living in sub-Saharan Africa. From that number, we are the one. Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, most countries living in this area have no electricity access. So based on that, the World Bank and the African Development Bank mission, they initiate this initiative, the 300 million initiative. They call it 300, Mission 300. That means we have to at least to reach to 300 million people until 2030. So based on that, until 2030, the first cohort countries, especially 12 countries, already they submitted and they already started their national energy compact. Now we are the second cohort countries. Together with Ethiopia, there are 17 countries, all in all. All of them, they already prepared, including Ethiopia. We prepared, and it was endorsed in UN conference, United Nations conference, on sideline conference in this September. So for that, I think Ethiopia, as a team, we have done a great job because we did with our own capacity. We didn't hire any consultant. We are doing it by our own team. The team, I am leading the team. Still we have another assignment, but the team is from Ethiopian Electric Power, Ethiopian Electric Utility, Petroleum and Energy Authority, and Ministry of Finance. These are our teams. And anyway, Compact has its own special feature. There is a guideline. So based on that guideline, we have prepared at least 5 major pillars to fulfill the Mission 300. One is, the the last mile connection or access, universal access. This is the most important part in this Mission 300. So Ethiopia, as you know, although we have reached 65% of access, electricity access with one form of light, including lanterns and so on, but the major basic electric service, which we call it tier 1 and above, only 44% of the population have access to electricity. So we have to reach, in our compact, we have to reach to 75%. That is our target. The other access is clean cooking. Of course, there are initiatives so far, we have done a lot, but still our clean cooking access is not more than 10%. So we have to reach to around 58% in 2030. So these are one of the major pillar in our energy compact. The other one is the backbones. It's called compact. It is compacted. So you have to see the whole value chain. It's not only access, but we have to see how about the generation, how about the transmission, how about the distribution. All the value chains has to be seen. In that regard, the second, our pillar is to diversify our generation mix. Of course, we are hydro-based country. Almost 95% of our generation is from hydro. Of course, the Grand Renaissance Dam now is in operation. So even the other hydropower dam is coming. So the generation mix is normally dominated by hydro. So we want to at least diversify. In 2030, we want to diversify from the current 5.6% of other renewable energy resources to at least to 15%, to increase. Of course, the generation mix will increase from wind, solar, geothermal, even natural gas. So these are our programs, or the second pillar in our national energy compact. The third one is regional integration. This is also important. Ethiopia is interconnected with neighbors and beyond. Recently, we are interconnected with Tanzania through Kenya, and now we are working with other countries. Of course, we are also interconnected with Djibouti, Sudan, and we are working with South Sudan. Now we are discussing with Somalia, we are discussing with Rwanda and other countries. So this regional interconnection is beyond power interconnection. It has a lot of meaning in any way. So this is the third one. The fourth one is, when we do all of this electrification program, the public service, utilities, they have to be financially feasible. They have to be operationally excellent. So for that, we have also, working on that. The operational excellence should be improved. The financial sustainability should be improved. So this is the fourth one. The fifth one is the most important part, is the private sector participation. Without the private sector participation, all the programs, all the national energy compact will not be fulfilled. So there is a big room for the private sector to come. Of course, we have to see the regulatory environment, what type of measures to be taken to facilitate for the private sector to come. So these are the major points or pillars, the 5 pillars. Based on these 5 pillars, we have a special monitoring and evaluation, platform, which will be, digital, and that is also one of the most important part. Maybe I will discuss later on the monitoring and evaluation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ato Gosai. This was a very detailed explanation and a needed one. I will come to Inas. GIAP is one of the supporting partners for Mission 300. What's GIAP's role? And also, what are you currently doing and what are the planned activities in supporting Mission 300?
Okay, thank you. I think I'm going to piggyback of a few things my co-panelists actually said.
So Mission 300 was two large multi-development banks, African Development Bank, the World Bank came together and said, we have the shared mission. And Mission 300 was born to, by 2030, the same thing they said, to electrify 300 sub-Saharan Africans by 2030. There are supporting organizations that actually support this mission, SE for All, Rockefeller Foundation, and the Alliance, which is where I work. Our particular role here is literally at the behest of supporting countries to actually meet their goals. Togosai here listed what those pillars are. We're here to actually support it. Now, specifically, we're supporting it across two sort of work streams. One is where, so like Atokosai mentioned that there's a monitoring and like evaluation, like an MLE platform that's like digital. So we're providing something we call CDMUs, which is Compact Delivery Monitoring Units. So we're supporting the government that are actually implementing like their compact to actually monitor, deliver by providing technical assistance, by embedding key personnel where they feel that they're actually lacking, by sort of ensuring that this wraparound like initiatives across like the different sort of like lines like they're actually working on are actually met by monitoring and providing all the support they need just on the MLE side. This is a work in progress. So I believe there's about 30 compacts signed to date. As an example, in Malawi, the CDMU units are actually live. In Ethiopia, we're still under discussion as to what that actually looks like. In DRC, it's actually quite far advanced. In Nigeria, it's also advanced, but some countries are actually still going back and forth. Our aim is to actually support 15 countries, so 15 CDMUs across sort of the Mission 300 program. The second piece is really speaks to the type of sort of presentations like the panel in the morning around the productive use of energy. So we have a program called, and like the team here is actually from the Energy and Opportunity team, which is really ensuring that as like they listed all of the access story that the people are actually utilizing the energy once it actually gets to them. So productive use of energy across like the different pieces like that I presented like in the morning, across agriculture, across small businesses, across health, across manufacturing are actually fully utilized is also something we're working deeply with. We're doubling down on like the type of programs we have on the ground already in Ethiopia, in Malawi, in DRC, in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Sierra Leone, and looking to actually expand that quite drastically as well. We call it Productive Africa. Thank you.
I want to go to like this. As a leading law firm working in the energy sector, and Atogosai mentioned that private sector participation is a key component of the energy compact. So from your experience, what's the status of private sector participation in the Ethiopian energy sector? And also what are the challenges in order to expand private sector participation?
Thank you, thank you for the invitation. So in our practice, focusing on the energy and infrastructure sector, we support a lot of private investments, mostly foreign investors trying to come in and enter the energy space. And, a lot of the challenges that they face, it applies to generally issues that private investment in general faces, but at the same time, there are very specific challenges that apply only to the energy sector. But in terms of setting the scene, if we look into what's the percentage of current private investment in the energy sector in Ethiopia, I don't have the exact figure, but I would confidently say it's extremely low, extremely low. And then when we really ask the question, what is the issue? Is it policy, is it regulation, or is it implementation? I would say it's a combination of all of those. So in terms of, but when we also look into the energy sector, I would like to separate it into two. One is the off-grid sector, and the other one is the on-grid or utility scale investment. In both cases, the regulatory and policy frameworks are slightly different. So to start with the off-grid sector, in terms of off-grid, so private investment can legally come in and invest in the off-grid sector by way of setting up mini-grids, for example, across the entire value chain, generation, transmission, and distribution. Whereas when you come to the utility large-scale investments, foreign investors are only allowed to invest in the generation space. Transmission and distribution is still reserved for the government primarily, but also allowed for domestic investors. So when we come and see it into the off-grid space, to my knowledge, I think there are only 2 or 3 companies that have entered that space, and only 1 foreign company. And this is policy, because the policy has been there to allow private investment for more than 10 years. And there was even a mini-grid directive, for example, that came out in 2020. And again, to my knowledge, only 1 company has registered. So when we look into the challenges, I would say that there are 2 challenges on the off-grid space. Number 1 is commercial. Number 2 is regulatory. On the commercial aspect of it, mini-grid businesses or off-grid businesses are not commercially viable. They're not profitable. So a lot of private sector investment is not really interested, because the ability to recover the initial investment by investing in a very last mile rural communities where affordability is a big issue, it's not. So the business case is not there. So that's number 1 issue that I have seen. Some have been interested to come in, but then when they do the feasibility and the numbers, it doesn't work. And number 2 is on the regulatory aspect. Even for those that are interested to come in, say like social enterprises, like donor-funded programs, there are regulatory issues. One is the investment policy requires a minimum capital of $200,000 for a single investor to come in and invest, whereas the investment itself, doesn't justify a $200,000 minimum capital investment, given that the end customers are very low-income communities, and recovering that initial investment itself is difficult. So that at the entry level, so there is that prohibitive, policy that does not really encourage these investors to come in. So even for those that are interested, say like they invest the minimum capital, they have funding, they raise the capital, and then when you look into the mini-grid regulations, the directive that came out in 2020, the list of requirements, compliance requirements, are extremely high to achieve. The transaction cost is high. The requirements are too restrictive and prescriptive. So it's not very encouraging for the private investor to really focus on the business itself, and then really comply with those compliance requirements. So it's a complex web of issues that really, when at the end of the day, energy access on the public sector side is an electrification issue, but for the private sector, it's a profit matter. It has to make a business sense, and then the business has to make profits. So when you look into the hoops and loops that they have to go through to really set up one very tiny mini-grid at a very remote area, it doesn't make sense. So that's what I've seen on the ground in terms of the off-grid space. On the on-grid, utility, high-scale, large-scale energy investment, like I said, only generation is allowed. So that space is slightly different. One, the way the private investment in the utility scale space is structured involves a public-private partnership model or an independent power IPP model. Because the project in itself is very large. The capital it's going to require is massive, in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So it requires the public sector and the private sector to come together and structure the deal in a way that makes sense. And because of this high capital intensive requirement that that is involved, then the structuring itself tends to be very complex. So let me give you an example. I think an example would make it very easy. Say if a developer wants to develop a 300 megawatt solar power project, it would likely cost around $400 to $500 million. So that private developer is not going to source that money fully on its own. So it's going to be a combination of debt and equity. So the debt component is high. Usually it tends to be up to 80%. So out of the $500 million, the $400 million would have to come from commercial lenders. Commercial lenders or development finance institutions that would have to put in the $400 million into the project. So the way the project is structured is the private sector will bring the financing and the government will handle the regulatory aspect, the guarantees and etc. So the lenders that are going to extend the $400 million, they would have like a number of issues that they will need to be assured of before they extend that money, right? It's obvious. So one of the key issues, I'll just focus on two issues that they will raise before they even decide to finance any project. Number one is, so these projects, the utility scale projects, are typically long-term agreements between the government and the private sector, 20 to 30 years. So the investment that goes into that power plant would have to be recovered within a 20, 30-year period. So the first question they ask is, okay, so we invest this amount of money, will EEP, which is the typical counterpart on the government side, does EEP have the financial capacity to pay me back the money that I have invested in? Is it financially viable? Does it have a cost-reflective tariff? Is the balance sheet of the EEP healthy and clean so that, my invoices are paid every month? So as we know, the answer to that is no. EEP is not financially stable. I mean, it's highly subsidized. It always works on a negative balance sheet. So that's a risk for the government. Okay, if EEP fails, how do I recover my money? So the next question would be, okay, if EEP fails, then the government has to step in. The government, meaning the Ministry of Finance, would have to step in and pay me my invoice. And for that, it needs to give me a guarantee. Is the government willing to give you guarantee? So the question has been negative for the last how many years? So that's the first question they ask. They check EEP's financial position, and they check whether the guarantee is available. And then number two, okay, EEP pays me, or the government pays me. I have this lots and lots of amount of birr in my hands, which I need to repay back to my lenders in dollars. Is there enough forex in the market? Do the commercial banks have enough forex to convert this birr into dollars? Which we know the case, our forex position, it's usually in the negative. So that's not enough. So they say, okay, if the banks are not able to convert the birr to dollars, can the national bank step in, use its national reserves, and give me the dollars for me to pay the $400 million? Which again, the response has been negative so far. So those two questions, because government has not been willing to provide guarantee for EEP's obligation, government has not been willing to provide guarantee for forex availability, projects have not been able to take off the ground. It is just dead on arrival. So which meant that to this day, we still do not have one project that was able to reach financial close in Ethiopia. That has been the case. But I mean, there is, I think, better days ahead. There's been a lot of policy reforms in the last years. Now the government is more willing to provide sovereign guarantees for EEP's obligation. And also the National Bank has passed a law that offers forex guarantees for very specific energy and PPP projects. So now we're looking into more movement in the space where there are more developers looking to enter, given that these two key policy constraints have been unlocked. So I think in the next year or so, we'll see some change. So it's generally in a
Thank you very much. The issues you raised have been also summarized under the Energy Compact, where the utilities are not operating on a cost recovery basis, and as well as the private sector needs some sort of risk mitigation financial instruments. And this leads me back to Wendaya, where what would be the role of the World Bank in terms of providing financing, both for the government and as well as for private sector? It might be in a form of risk mitigation instruments.
So the World Bank, as a development partner, will not be able to provide financing related with the ambitious target which has been put on the energy compact. The government alone will not be able, together with the World Bank. If we add financing from AFDB, that will not be enough, okay, to achieve whatever has been laid down in the energy compact as an ambitious document. So there are different financing mechanisms which need to be mixed, okay, in order to achieve the targets of the compact itself. So as Ato Gosai was saying, there are 5 critical pillars which are aligned with the bank's projects that the Energy Compact outlines. So grid expansion, for example. So the bank's instruments such as investment project financing, program for results or P4Rs, okay, as well as development policy financing, all these banks' instruments contribute to the grid expansion activities. ADEL, which is a 500 million project, is an IPF. So meaning the bank pays for the investment the government makes on access side of things, both grid and off-grid. So the result-based financing, say ELIP, which is a 625 million worth project or program, could be able to provide access and support the government on result-based financing and an exemplary way of financing from development partners. Development policy financing, of course, cost reflectiveness, cost recovery, and financial gaps, financial non-viability or non-bankability of the utilities have been mentioned. So improvement of financial viability, technical capacity, as well as reduction of losses is also being considered by the bank's support under DPOs. So there are financing instruments that the banks, including the World Bank, have, but the private sector needs to come in. Local private sector participation in terms of local manufacturing. We recently had a discussion with local manufacturers, and the utility was there to witness their quality. The quality of the local transformers is much higher than what we import. What does this tell us? If we support the private sector locally, okay, they will be tied with long-term contracts and reliability, ownership, all those things would encourage quality of, the transformers that go bust in all our villages, yeah? So private sector participation, we are supporting the government on the update of the National Electrification Plan. The NEP 2.0 did not achieve its targets, so we need to revise. The ministry is working to revise that document with the support of the World Bank. So from our preliminary findings on the distribution, on grid-based distribution side of the investment, more than $10 billion would be required, okay? On the distribution, on the last mile side of things. What are these things? The World Bank providing more than 90% of donor financing to the sector now, currently, has only, say, ADEL is 500, ELIP is 625, which is going to close in a couple of months. The prime project is 500. If you add all these three, it's less than 2 billion, okay? In like 8+ years. Where will we get the financing gap from? I wouldn't call it gap. I mean, gap is when you have 85 on your hands and you lack 15, right? So the World Bank, African Development Bank, the government itself combined will not provide or will not avail the required financing. So we need to think around this. So the investment instruments of the World Bank are IPF projects, DPO, development policy operations, as well as program for results. So these are the things. DRE, okay, renewable energy. Magdes said the limitations. The mini grid directive is there. The ADEL was basically access to distributed electricity in Ethiopia, and a DRE sort of based or designed project. It had private sector-led mini grid in its first design. So there were no efforts to encourage. Commercial viability was a challenge, Magdes said it, but this project had a provision to subsidize whatever is going to be the financial gap for the private sector to be encouraged. But the private sector was not invited to come in, okay, look for those potential sites, okay, and implement. So these are the things. Really, is it only a policy sort of thing? It touches on capacity, it touches on willingness, it touches on attitude, all those things. So a very giant utility, we have Ethiopian Electric Utility. Is it practical to have a single utility, covering such a wide country? Is it possible to do that, like with a single institution? So there were studies that was carried out when I was with AFDB like 4 years ago or before. So there were recommendations to bring in electricity cooperatives, local ones, to run distribution segments, 1 feeder, 2 feeders, just as a pilot. Okay, how will the operational efficiency improve? How will the losses reduce? They did not. We as a country did not try those options. So private sector participation and the limitations need to be addressed as such. Regional integration is another pillar. So Ethiopia, the 9% Atogosai mentioned who lack access globally, 83% is those 600 million in sub-Saharan Africa, if I understood right, Atogosai. So half is this plan under the M300. From the 600 million, more than 60 million Ethiopians are the ones contributing to those numbers. So what does it tell us? 10%, even plus, because we also question the numbers in terms of population size, right? So 10% plus in sub-Saharan Africa is those Ethiopians who lack access. 60 out of 600, if we say. So having this number, the Mission 300 has a great focus on the support being provided to Ethiopia by the World Bank, and as an energy hub in the region, whatever regional connectivity Ethiopia is doing is encouraged, is supported, and is acknowledged by the bank, because it will provide access to the people in the neighboring countries. So utility, financial viability, it has already been touched on. The private sector participation is very critical. And how do we, what we need to do as a country is, how do we say, encourage experts encourage these communities, these associations to have like commercial arms, you know, to have their own sections of the distribution segment, because the focus on private sector participation is through IPPs and PPP arrangements. But how do we do it on the distribution side of things is a gap. And we need to, and the government needs to think on how to mobilize private sector financing. Over, thank you.
Thank you. I hope you're writing your questions because I only left with 2 questions, so I'll come back to the audience, so make sure to write your questions. I want to go back to Mekades, and you have mentioned the challenges. What are the regulatory reforms the country should be making in order to attract private sector investment?
I think in terms of regulatory reforms, obviously the reforms have to continue. There's a lot that have been changed to make sure that the investment climate itself is convenient for foreign investors and domestic investors for both. Just what Alam just said now in terms of, for example, allowing private investment to the distribution sector. For local investors, it's possible, but for foreign investors, it's not possible yet. So that sector would have to be liberalized if what you said, like $10 billion would have to come into the sector. So there are some prohibitions or restrictions that are in the law that need to be unlocked on transmission and distribution aspect. And I think there are some efforts on the policy, right, because I can mention that to sort of liberalize these sectors and manage the investment that comes in. But beyond that, I think in terms of really addressing the entire challenges around the ecosystem itself, I would say there can be 2 or 3 things that have to be done. Number one, the reforms have to continue. The policy and regulatory reforms, they have to continue, but they have to continue in the right direction, meaning that they need to be, ease of doing business has to be improved, restrictions have to be lifted, and then, for the entry to investment has to be managed in a very flexible way. But when we do this, we need to be aware that we do not create a regulatory unpredictability. Too often, if you change the laws, that in itself creates nervousness within the investor community. You need to have a predictable regulatory environment that goes in the direction of really encouraging private investment. So those 2 things have to be, balanced. And on the other hand, we also need to understand that, the private capital that is available globally, it's the same pool. And that pool goes into Ethiopia, it goes into Kenya, it goes into Uganda. That there is a competitive environment around private capital itself. So if an investor has the option of going to Kenya and to Uganda and versus to Ethiopia, and if it's much easier to do it there, they would always go there. They're really, the commercial reasons, as long as the commercial reasons are there. I'm aware of one project, for example, in which 3 years ago, the same company, it's a UK company, launched this project in Uganda, in Mozambique, and in Ethiopia. The Ugandan project has been completed and commissioned. The Mozambique one is halfway through. The Ethiopian one has not even reached the feasibility stage. Like, it's literally stuck on whether we want this or we want that, or whether it's allowed or not. It just hasn't taken off the ground. So obviously for this investor, they would rather just go to Uganda and Mozambique and deploy their capital there. There is really no altruistic reason for them to stick to Ethiopia. So we really need to understand that the competition for private capital is really intense within the African continent, and then we need to do better to attract this investment. And then how do we do that? What can we do? I mentioned the policy issues earlier, but in terms of actually implementing these projects, there has to be a regulatory coordination. We need to look into all the laws, all the policies, and the alignment that needs to be achieved to get from one point to another. It's not just looking into the energy policy itself. You need to look into the tax policy, the corporate policy, the land policies, because at the end of the day, these projects are implemented on a piece of land. So how do the regional government, for example, handle investment in the energy space? Do they have the right capacity and the right mindset to really deploy these investments on the ground? So the regulatory coordination amongst different government agencies at the federal level is important, and then between the federal and the regional bureaus is also important. And secondly, as well, we need to have a continuous capacity and awareness within the government office on what it takes to bring private investment into the country. So how do investors look into a project? How do the lenders who are behind the investors really look into their risk assessment? What does it look like? And how do we really address those issues in advance so that by the time they come in, that it's the conducive environment is there? So we need to have that mindset shift that nobody's looking to do us a favor. These are commercial entities. They're looking to do commercial deals. So we need to have that in mind and make sure that the regulatory, institutional, and policy framework aligns with that.
Before I open it to the audience, I have to go back to Ato Gosai and ask, what are the regulatory and as well as institutional reforms we should expect under the Mission 300?
Okay. To fulfill this, the National Energy Compact, there are a lot of action items to be done. And one of these from the action areas are institutional and regulatory reform. These are already indicated in our National Energy Compact. By the way, we have discussed this for 3 months. We have discussed a lot. I think it would have been better to invite EP and EU to this panel. I can't tell you from the policy perspective. Our national energy policy already is very good. Now, we have already submitted to the government for final approval. Once it is approved, I think there is a big room for the private sector participation. It will add, it will support the National Energy Compact, implementation. As a whole, there is no ready-made solution, there is no ready-made answer. What Magdas already said, some of the solutions you already addressed. We know that in Ethiopia, the power sector is normally, it is a public lead. We know it. There is no private sector participation, we know it. Even if the IPPs are open, still there is a challenge. The private sector is not still in a position to come. But recently, the government already taking some, although it is slow, taking some steps. The foreign currency issue, the risk issue, the risk element, the blended finance. All the risk registry element is very important. So we have to see what is the challenge for the private sector. Is it the bureaucracy? Is it the investment climate? All of this already addressed in our National Energy Compact. By the way, this National Energy Compact is not a one ministry or a one sector issue. It has many players. Many players. That's why we include all the players in our National Energy Compact as a monitoring and evaluation unit. We have a steering committee, led by the Deputy Prime Minister, and then there are different, compact delivery and monitoring units. There are different focal points. All of these work together. Otherwise, this National Energy Compact will not be fulfilled. So there are a lot of issues to be addressed in this National Energy Compact. Once it is approved, then the next assignment for our team is to do the detailed work. Always the detail is, the evil is on the details. So we have to see, what are the bottlenecks? What will be the challenge for the private sector to come? We already started, by the way, as you said, the private sector in transmission and distribution is not allowed. Now, we are working on that. Together with the Ministry of Finance, of course, IFC already did one study, one roadmap, but that one is not going nowhere. So now we start again to make it more detailed. It's not easy, by the way, to open, the transmission, especially the transmission segment for the private sector. It's not easy. So we have to see the challenge. There are a lot of challenges, by the way. So we have to see power transmission, just to see. Then in our compact, we have already indicated around $3 billion USD for the private sector to come. Not only in transmission, in generation, and in distribution. So in all this, we will see the whole segment and what will be the opportunities. It's not only for Ethiopia, if it is open, if it is feasible, why not? We can do it, no problem. I mean, there is a big room. Still, we need a lot for electricity sector to do, to fulfill the 75% electricity access. So it is a long journey, by the way. It is a 9.6 billion USD. So as Wandayo said, some of the finance is available, but there are a big gap. Out of 9.6 billion, 4.9 billion is for universal access. So from where did we get this finance? So we have to see some from the private sector, from the government, and it can be blended finance. So we'll see all of this, and we have already indicated in our National Energy Compact. I hope we will succeed, and we'll see if there is any additional question, concern, I can answer.
Maybe before we open it to the audience, Ines, if you have any reflections on this?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to add, I think, a couple of things with the final comments that they made. I think historically we have to realize that Ethiopia has been closed off for private sector investment until very recently. So all of these reforms that are coming in are brand new. To date, it was state-led. So this is a very new space, I think, for the government to actually delve in. I think the reforms we've seen the last few years have been dramatic and drastic, and now it's time for people to actually test it out, for companies to actually come in, and yes, it's difficult, yes, it's not easy, yes, it's unknown, but you actually have to come in and actually do it. And test it and provide feedback and provide improvements to these directives and laws and regulations. And to that end, I think I also want to mention, because I don't think MECDAS actually knows, another foreign company is actually licensed to work in the off-grid sector, and it's under the DREAM program that the Global Energy Alliance has been working on for a number of years. And RVE Sol is actually licensed on the off-grid sector, has a business license at least, for a couple of sites in Ethiopia. Now, the financing there is interesting because it's a blended financing model. So we, as the Global Energy Alliance, have provided de-risking grants. He's accessing debt, concessional, but debt, and he's putting in equity. So this model, if it works, it's something that can actually encourage other, either international or even domestic investors to actually come into the space and access windows like the Adele window component that hasn't been accessed to date. So, yes, demand is hard. And yes, FX sort of remittance is also hard. So we're providing a demand guarantee. We're providing an FX convertibility guarantee as well. But even that is not really an issue today, given that our currency is now liberalized.
So things are moving in like the right direction. I think we have to test it out. I think we have to do a lot of work and actually provide feedback backwards. But also around Mission 300, we're also providing financing for equipment that could actually make it available for like people that cannot actually afford cold-in walk-in cold fridges or solar water pumps or different solar equipment to ensure that it's actually affordable and it's actually available as well. So we, as the Global Energy Alliance, are actually providing financing facilities across different parts of Africa to that end. So I think there's a lot of room and space here, but it's really a matter of finding ways to trial and accelerate and like ensure that we piggyback on all of our learnings and double down on that and actually try to hit our goals and like support the government to actually meet them. Thank you.
Very important point, Ines, what you mentioned there. I think Ethiopia really suffers from a perception risk. While you said like for a number of years now we've been closed off, there is that perception that from the African continent, Ethiopia is very difficult to do business in. Even despite the reforms that have happened in the last years, those reforms have not translated on the ground in terms of like driving investments because of the perception issues there. And the way to address it is to have a number of projects reaching financial close and reaching commercialization, so that because the ecosystem is very small, if one or two investors really come in and succeed, it will send a signal to the other members in the community, in the global community, that you can actually do business in Ethiopia. So that's why it's very important to have a track record of investors that have come in and succeeded and were able to do business. So the next couple of years are going to be very critical in really demonstrating that these reforms are actually working on the ground. So it's good that we have that model that works, but we need to scale it and we need to communicate it widely enough to show that, to address the perception risk that has plagued us.
I mean, the financing is one side of the challenge. Which was being discussed, because that's why the private sector issue was being discussed, right? But there are other dimensions, challenge dimensions. The government and we as partners should collectively look at, which is the capacity limitation. Do we really have, for example, if we need $1 billion investment per annum or two, do we as a nation have the absorption capacity? Will us be able to use those resources effectively and efficiently and in a timely manner is another challenge. So the utility needs to ask what its capacity and what its stretch limit in terms of delivering projects is. So which project was delayed, and how can I make rollouts, like connection rollouts, triple than they are now. These are other dimensions that the plan, the compact needs to look at it when a revision of the plan and monitoring is going to be done. That is one thing. The other, when they when they have the resources and try to get connections, we do have, like Ethiopia is a poor country, as we all know, so affordability and willingness to pay or ability to pay challenge are usually critical, especially on the deep rural or rural sides of the country. So how do we do like targeted sort of subsidies using really strong connection policies is one. So it goes even beyond this energy or power sector, but it goes, it touches on the macroeconomic or country level interventions of job creation and how we can provide jobs who will be able to pay to productive people, and that those people will in turn be able to pay for these important services, electricity, clean water, and others. Let me stop.
Thank you very much all. This was very insightful. So I will give it to the audience. We can, any questions? You can raise your hands.
Looking from the status, especially from the ministry and also World Bank and other actors, active actors in the sector, we have been listening those challenges for several years. And we are in the era of globalization. We are not locked. We can hear what's going on in Kenya, what's going on in Tanzania, and in neighboring countries. Just why is there any initiative, especially from the ministry, to establish a kind of task force to give immediate action? We know we hear several challenges immediately over and over again. Why ministry takes this seriously with the support from development organization, financial institution, and others to take immediate action and to give a solution so that private actors, international and local private actors can participate, actively engage in the energy sector. For example, it was a very interesting insight from Megdes. Even if those companies, after entering in the sector to establish a business or to have a stake in the energy sector, there are several challenges. So I'm just recommending to establish a task force from World Bank, from ministry, it could be GAP or others, to give immediate action, to take a lesson from neighboring countries, or to hire a dedicated international consultant to establish, to reform the organizations who will be responsible to reform the policy and also the directive. I think we discussed those challenges several years. And I'm really suggesting Ethiopia to take action and to go forward. Thank you very much.
About the 300 plan coming up. So Ethiopia, for the last 10 years or so, we have had so many different programs or plans with the World Bank, with the ministry, and the issues that we are hearing about the private sector had been there for the last 15 years, that policies were being looked at, trying to really attract private investors to Corbeti, to Lumuya, and things like that. So giving us that insight, and the problems have been there for the last 15 years. And we are still looking into it and addressing them. So my question is really for Ato Gosai and the World Bank. In the last 10 years, we have done a lot of projects. Lots of capital have been injected for the utility, not only for the utility, but for the electrification. How effective have we been utilizing the funds that we have gotten? Because some of the projects couldn't go. So even though we said, whether it's $1 billion in so many years, how effective have we been? Because the resource can come, but if we are not ready or if we haven't addressed the issues that we are talking about, it's going back, right? It's not being used. So how effective have we been utilizing the funds that we at least allocated at that time that are implemented, both in electrification or all other projects? How effective have we been?
That's really a proud moment to be here in this room with a monumental and phenomenal women. I would like to highlight some issues with this, with EU working about this Compact 300 projects, and I have some question to Ato Gosai. This Global Compact 300 project is not a national project, it's a huge project, it's a global project, we know that, we have highlighted that, the panelists also highlight a lot of things about it. As EU, we plan to connect 800 households this year, and we had connected 500,000 last year. This makes us leading in the sub-Saharan African countries last year. We also try to work on two major problems, the affordability and densification. We try to solve this problem by collaborating with donors. There are a lot of projects to accommodate the cost 50-50, and also the last mile, the densification problem by reaching LV and MV lines and transformers for 119 households per program. So, with being this said, my question to Ato Gosai will be, we as a company have a lot of collaboration and a lot of works to do together, but there is a huge issue about saturated substations, and this issue is really critical for this huge program. So what are the works that's been on the way to connect these dots? The second one is, there are a lot of emerging high energy users and investors coming to Ethiopia. It has an opportunity, but I think there will be a negative effect in this huge Compact 300 program. So I just want you to highlight and share your insight on this question. Thank you.
I will now give the floor to Ato Gosai, as three of the questions are forwarded to.
Thank you very much for important questions. The first one is on establishing the task force. Well, to implement this National Energy Compact, we have already indicated the Compact Delivery and Monitoring Unit. It will be housed in the ministry. This is not, a normal task force. It is equipped with a lot of technologies. Like there will be energy dashboard, geospatial analysis, and the data disaggregation, and also the citizen engagement. So we have to see the whole, every activity, every program has to see, the real-time data, and we have to check even the access. Geospatially, we have to access both clean cooking and the electricity access. All this monitoring and evaluation unit, I think this is important to mention JAP here, because they are the one who support this program. As on behalf of World Bank and African Development Bank, they are also supporting this, digital monitoring unit. This is very important. It's not a normal, based on this, there are many focal units across sectors and regions. It's not only done by one ministry. That's why, it is a cross-sectoral, activity to fulfill this National Energy Compact. We already identified who is doing what. Every responsibility. Every sector has its own responsibility.
We already mentioned that. So there is a high-level steering committee. Some countries, this steering committee is chaired by the presidents, by the prime ministers. In our case, we did it by the deputy prime minister. So it is a high-level, by the way, high-level, program to be administered globally. I mean, as a country point of view. So this is important. Well, Mr. there is no, I can't say this and that, but yes, maybe, I don't know, from the World Bank side, Wendayo can add, but from, the private sector side, yes, although I can't say zero, but there are certain segments that the private sector plays its own role. For example, clean cooking, normally, the clean cooking side is a private sector issue, mostly. And there are also, private sector can engage, but the only thing is the ownership issue. Otherwise, every power sector development program is done by the private sector, not by the utilities. It is, it can be EPC, but it is done by the private sector. The private sector involvement is there. But when we are talking of IPPs, yes, IPP is the ownership issue. So in that case, in our case, by the way, we have to balance. Be careful. In our case, as you see in the past, our tariff was very low. Everybody was enjoying with the tariff. Especially the consumers were enjoying. Now we have to make the balance. As Maxdel says, the utilities are not financially sufficient. So that's why now we are increasing the tariff. Now everybody is complaining. So we have to make a balance. The private sector will not come, at least for charity or for anything. He has to get a profit. When we see the previous IPP engagements, it's because of the tariff that failed. The major issue is tariff. The private sector needs a big tariff. For example, in Kenya, 1 kilowatt hour, maybe it is 20 cents. In our case, it is 4 cents. But still 4 cents is very huge for the consumers. So we have to make a balance. We have to make a balance. Otherwise, if the tariff is increasing now it's already started, then the private sector will come. The private sector will come. So I think we have to see, some of the challenges. It's not only the regulatory and other issues. One of the most important issues is the profitability issue for the private sector to come. So for that, we have to make the enabling environment. On the Ethiopian electric utility, I think you have to answer for yourself, but normally, as a team, we have done the National Energy Compact. Your team was as part of our team, the utility team. In the coming 5 years, we have to add additional 9.23 million households. Every year is more than 1.5 million households. So how do we do that? This is the issue. We are asking this for the utility. How do the utility, is it now ready to do this, connection? How come the private sector play on this part? This is the issue which we have to address with our National Energy Compact 3.0. Now it is under final stage. It is under study. And National Energy Strategy. These two documents will answer your question. So, is the current institutional arrangement, fulfill this with the current institutional arrangement? No. There should be some mechanism. What type of mechanism, what type of institutional arrangement should be there as part of the utility? Of course, we don't want to create another institution like what Ugandans, what Tanzania, what Kenya did. They have their own rural electrification agency. For us, it will not work because it will take us, behind. So we have to move. So in that case, maybe we have to adjust the institutional arrangement. Of course, the utility can lead, but we have to arrange. We have to see how the private sector will play in this part. So, we have discussed all of these issues. And of course, the new energy providers, yes, they are coming. Data mining is coming. Yeah, there are many, many players coming. We'll see that. We can see. This is also, already, under consideration in our National Energy Compact. This is what I can say.
He has covered it well, no? Okay, task force. In addition to the energy compacts, the steering committees and the arrangements for implementation and monitoring, the challenge we all have been hearing and we all have been discussing for years, like you mentioned, have different dimensions, right? So for those, we do have, the government has a set of task forces for the different challenges on energy access, energy security, utility performance improvement, as well as private sector participation and improvement of the energy mix. So on these task forces, there are different institutions represented which are concerned. So again, those task forces are chaired by a steering sort of committee, jointly by the Ministry of Finance as well as the Ministry of Water and Energy. There is, of course, a good advancement in terms of looking at the challenge collectively, like not, on individual basis. Salam. So, how effective are we? A very difficult question for me as well as everyone here, I believe. Like I mentioned, do we have, the absorption capacity if we have all the resources at hand? I say no, because all of the projects seem to delay. The preparatory and lead times are always lengthy. Even capacity of experts. It of course includes us, and it takes me to a sort of mindset issue. We used to train our experts, get lessons from other countries, get good education abroad. That's not the case now. So these are the challenges. So procurement and safeguard, especially related challenges, have been identified during our specific assessments carried out, as well as implementation support we are giving on individual project basis. So the bank normally does implementation support as well as review of achievement of the intended results at the end of the projects, but the recent ones, including the recently closed NREP, did not yet finish. But I don't go to individual implementation support reports and ratings, but we have ratings on what the effectiveness so far was. And we accordingly plan mitigation measures as well as, if needed, restructuring like we are considering on ADEL. So whenever we close projects, we do have disclosable implementation completion reports. So we can see ADEL, how effective was ADEL. We can go to that report, which is not actually done and disclosed by the bank. It first is done by the implementing agencies themselves, and bank version of the report is produced, and an independent evaluator would look at it before disclosure. So I would encourage you to visit. For the former projects, I think the other questions are EU, EEP issues. So I won't take. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all the panelists. Yes.
No, as a final remark, by the way, EWiEn and SEDA, as energy, professionals, associations, you are working with us. So you have to continue to work with us. There are a lot of rooms, not only in these events. We have to discuss day by day in our office. We have to discuss in all our activities. So we welcome you to discuss with us and to support us, by the way. You are a very good energy arm in this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for the panelists. Can take off.
After lunch, I really enjoyed the insightful conversation, and I really appreciated the perspectives from development partners, the government itself, as well as from a legal perspective. So thank you so much. That actually concludes the meat of our agenda. We're only left with a closing remark from our wonderful General Assembly Chairperson, Yodit Gabramariam, the General Assembly Chairperson. Please come to the stage. Thank you so much for staying with us so far. I'm going to hand over the mic.
To all our partner, participants, and supporters for being part of our historic 5th Annual Women Energy event. Your presence and engagement made this gathering truly meaningful. Today we had the privilege of honoring 3 remarkable women, Hamanat Tafara, Netzanet Bahailu, and Salamai Seleshi, whose achievements continue to inspire progress across Ethiopia's energy sectors. We also engaged in timely and important discussion that will play a critical role as our country advances towards universal electrification. Looking ahead, EWiEn remains committed to expanding its grassroots initiative to empower women, strengthen communities, and contribute to the sustainable development of Ethiopia's energy landscape. Through our She Energy Business Wing, we will welcome you to join and collaborate with us in driving the mission forward. So we warmly call upon all our partners, Global Energy Alliance, GIZ, and MOVI, as well as our sponsors, SNV, Veritas Consulting, Mercy Crop, and AEP, to continue working with us to shape and brighten a more inclusive energy future. Thank you once again for your unwavering support, and let us continue moving forward together. Thank you.
And one last message: if you're not a member, please join us. If you're not a member, please join us. It's very easy. The annual fee is very little. And make sure you stay engaged. For those of you who are not members, but are associates, our friends, our family, please make sure you support this network, and let's uplift women in the energy sector and beyond. Thank you so much.